Hello, Dippers. Welcome to Volume 21 of Hysteria. As always, follow us on Twitter and Instagram at The Saucy Pod. Be sure to listen to Sauce on the Side every Monday, Ducks on the Pond every Sunday, Nugget Sandwich on Thursdays, and Food for Thought, I guess most Saturdays now. And here to explain why we don't have a Food for Thought this past week is my co-host, St. Louis correspondent, Fletcher Hoyk.
Well, I don't have an explanation for that, but I do want to talk about, in the current NBA, people are talking about the true centers leaving the NBA and they're all moving to positionless basketball. Well, last night, if you watched that Warriors game, you got a indication from Damian Jones that the center hasn't gone all the way yet. Damian Jones is a young guy out of Vanderbilt, got hurt, spent some time in the D-League, but he showed you that if you're a big man in this league, if you're a rim runner, if you protect the rim, you play hard, you don't bitch about not getting the ball, and you roll hard on pick and rolls, you have a place in this NBA. He played less than 30 minutes last night, had 12 points, 3 blocks, had shot 6 or 7 from the field, had some really, really impressive dunks, did have 4 fouls, but starting first NBA game, he is probably had some jitters, but Damian Jones, look out for him this year, and he's showing you that the center's not dead yet.
You're talking about Damian Jones doing good in his first basketball game. For a long time, I've thought basketball is a really easy sport. All you gotta do is not get the ball to your opponent and just throw the ball through that cylinder. I could be an NBA player, but I got a chance in high school because the coach hated me.
Put ball in hoop, keep ball out of hoop.
Easy game.
Easy.
Damn high school coaches.
Humpday. Hoops Hysteria.
A Sauce on the Side production.
But anyway, like you said, the NBA season has started. Last night we had 2 games. Both games featured teams that had very high hopes for the season. We'll start with an Eastern Conference clash between the 76ers and the Celtics. The Celtics, looking at a championship, trying to rise to the prominence that they used to be at. And the 76ers want to take that next step and take their claim. And one of the best teams, not only in the Eastern Conference, but in the entire NBA. The Celtics won the game rather handily. They won by 18 points. And last night, a lot of talk about this rivalry. I feel like it's not a rivalry because they haven't been both good since the 70s or 80s. How do you feel about all that talk?
I guess the rivalry is renewed in the sense that they played each other last year in the playoffs and that they played each other in Game 1 of the NBA season. If that's what you want to call the rivalry, I guess that's about the extent of it. It's not a competitive rivalry. Joel Embiid said it best, they beat our ass. Exactly,
and I can't wait for the narrative all this year, all next year about how rivalry's back on whenever there's no such rivalry to be had.
Yep.
But some quick notes from the game, Gordon Hayward and Kyrie Irving both showed a whole lot of rust. Both shot horrible from the field, only had 10 points for Hayward and 10 points for Irving. Jason Tatum, though, picked up right where he left off last postseason. He had 23 points and 9 for 17 shooting and 9 rebounds. And off the bench, Markieff Morris had 16 points and 10 rebounds. On the other side of the ball, 76ers, Joel Embiid and Ben Simmons both played really good games. Joel Embiid had double-double, 23 points, 10 rebounds. He made a 3. And Ben Simmons had 19 points, 15 rebounds, and 8 assists. Other than that, they shot very poorly. When I look at the Celtics, Gordon Hayward and Kyrie Irving only played 29 minutes. Some of that was definitely due to the game flow, basically just being a Boston dominating the game. Do you think that we'll see them play, lower than 30 minutes throughout the season regardless of what the score is? Or do you think there will be times where Gordon Hayward and Kyrie both play, 38, 40 minutes a game?
They're on our minutes restriction, and they're going to be on a minutes restriction, if I were to guess, probably the first month of the season. There's no reason to rush them back, even if it's a close game, they might lose a game, because you can trust guys like Terry Rozier, Jason Tatum, and Jaylen Brown down the stretch, and you can trust Marcus Smart, too. So,
yeah, and you're right, they can trust guys. Like, they played 7 guys, or 8 guys, more than 20 minutes, and Aaron Baines 19 minutes. They basically play 9 guys, 20 more minutes. Before I let you break down the game, did you hear Charles Barkley's analysis of the Celtics team in between the games? How do you need to play Aaron Baines more often?
Yeah, like I told you last night, man. I told you last year, just because people tune in to view you and you have a big time primetime TV slot doesn't mean you know what you're talking about. He basically said that he would like to see the Celtics take Jaylen Brown out of the starting lineup and insert Aaron Baines to play him more. And this is coming off an 18-point win when they have no chemistry built up. You have Gordon Hayward and Kyrie Irving shooting awful from the field, not contributing much, and getting all this new chemistry together against your, quote, biggest rival in the East. So I don't understand his thought process. He's just good television, really.
Yeah, he is good television. But so what are your overall thoughts on the game for both teams?
My first thought when I was watching the game was Ben Simmons is good still, so that's good to see. It's nice to see a 6'10" point guard run like a deer up and down the court. He had amazing numbers, shot 50% from the field, had 19 points, 15 rebounds like you hinted at. He would have had a triple-double, no problem, but literally everybody on his team shot for shit except for Joel Embiid. Joel Embiid shot just under 50%. Dario Saric, 3 for 8. Robert Covington, 3 for 10. Markelle Fultz, 2 for 7. Landry Shamet, the guy they drafted, didn't make a shot. TJ McConnell shot 40% from the field. I didn't really like what I saw out of the 76ers. It looked like they were doing the same old thing they were doing last year. They didn't really progress much as a team. Hopefully, as the season goes on, you get more and more out of Markelle Fultz. But one thing that stood out to me when I was watching the 76ers was they would play lineups where they would have Simmons and Fultz along with either TJ McConnell or JJ Redick on the floor together. And if you're going to play Fultz and Simmons, and then you throw out McConnell and or Redick, like you could just have something better. And Mikal Bridges, if you hadn't traded him away, you could have a 6'7" wing out there who can guard 1 through 4 on that Boston Celtics lineup. But now you have JJ Redick, and it's like, who are you going to guard? You can't guard Kyrie. Everybody else is too big for you. That doesn't make sense to me. You could have had a really – they're going to have troubles on offense, the 76ers are, but they could have at least had defense pretty much locked down if they had Mikal Bridges on their team too.
Yeah, you talked about not wanting to play, Fultz and Simmons. Not wanting to play them, but we had to deal with them. How do you feel about them starting Markelle Fultz over JJ Redick?
Well, JJ Redick came in and shot 2-8 from 3. He wound up actually playing more minutes than Markelle Fultz. Markelle Fultz, he just couldn't get it going for whatever reason. And I'm going to chalk some of that up to Brad Stevens being a pretty good defensive-minded coach. So I'm not gonna overreact to it. I'm not going to say Fultz is going to struggle all season and we're going to see a repeat of last year by any means. But I think as the season goes on, hopefully you'll see some good progression and see him develop as a really talented player.
Yeah, I think I hope so too. Before we go on to Celtics, do you think either of them, Fultz or Simmons, are going to be, like this season, will have a jump shot and shoot mid-range to three-pointers?
Ben Simmons took some mid-range pull-ups, and he took some from the elbow, almost to the layup range. He's really good at those really awkward right-handed floaters, turn over the shoulder jump hooks. He's got that down pretty well, but what he needs to do is get that 15 to 18 footer in his arsenal to where when he has that pick and roll, guys, big men and other players have to decide, like, do I want to play back and stop him from getting to the paint, or do I want to help up and not give him that easy mid-range jump shot? So that's where the next level of his game has to come to. He needs to stop. I'm not going to say he needs to stop worrying about shooting the three. He has to have that come, but he needs to look at what immediate impact he can make for this season. And the coming off the screen, shooting the pull-up jumper from 15 to 18 feet is where the next level of progression you need to see from Ben Simmons take place if they don't have a whole lot of playmaking and shooting around him.
Yeah. And just to be honest, this game we going on during the Red game, didn't see a whole lot of it. Did he run the offense? He played a one for most part, looking at the stats.
Yeah, he pretty much just ran the whole show for Philly. He wound up playing like 43 minutes, and if he didn't play, they would have lost by like 30 or 40. They would have housed him bad. The way Boston was defending, I mean, even when you pull Terry Rozier and Marcus Smart off the bench, they're really humming defensively always. I mean, they might have a hiccup here and there on offense, but they're going to always be humming defensively, and they really shut down most of Philly. I mean, they basically said, like, all right, Joel Embiid at some point of the game, he's going to have enough shots. He's going to get his. Ben Simmons, he's going to get his. But what we can do is we can just really turn the faucet off on everybody else, and that's pretty much what they did. So,
and what about the Celtics side of the ball?
The Celtics were really fun to watch. I was watching them, and the first thing I noticed is Brad Stevens is still running the same offense from last year. It's a lot of that high screen and roll, 45-degree angle on the wing, screen and roll, dribble handoffs. They still space the floor. They put guys in position where they could catch and shoot, come off the dribble and shoot. I really like seeing that, especially I really like the fact that they went with the 4 guys who could really space the floor together with Kyrie, Jaylen Brown, Jason Tatum, and Gordon Hayward. That offense is really going to click. I just didn't think it was going to click this early. I was watching the game, and it was in the first quarter or so, I was kind of going back and forth, and I'm thinking, well, chemistry issues, everybody getting used to their new role in the offense, Kyrie and Gordon coming off their injuries, getting ready for everything, but really, they just have so much they can do offensively, and then on top of that, Marcus Smart shot 50% from 3. I don't know if that's what we're going to see all year, but if he is at least a guy that you have to go out there and consider on the three-point line now, that just adds a huge component to their offense that they didn't have before. And this team is going to be like the Warriors in a sense, where you're going to see guys like Jason Tatum last night go off, and then later in the season you're going to see Hayward, Kyrie. You're going to see just guys go off in this lineup, and it's just really going to depend on whose night it is anyway, or whose night it is that night, as far as who's going to lead your team in scoring. They're going to be really fun to watch, and they're going to be really deep.
Yeah, and we already talked about the Celtics, actually a ton up to this point. But today, a lot of talk, I listened to a couple of podcasts on the radio, part of them trading for Anthony Davis. If you're the Celtics, would you make a package with the Kings pick and Jaylen Brown go get Anthony Davis, even though you might not be able to re-sign him after this season?
If I'm the Celtics, I'm not moving anything this season. I might look to pick up a guy cheap, or at the deadline, I might look if somebody's contract gets bought out to signing somebody to the minimum like they did last year with Greg Monroe. I'm not going to go making any wholesale changes to this roster for a guy who could just be up and gone, especially when you can go out and get him. That's what I would do.
Yeah, and I agree with you on that one. And now we're going to our second game of the doubleheader. Another 2 teams that won how long through the season. The defending champion Golden State Warriors against Oklahoma City Thunder. Last time we saw OKC, kind of just a cluster mess last season. Got Carmelo, just outplays Paul George. I guess he was happy there. He didn't seem happy, but I think he signed a big contract.
All right.
And last night, Paul George played up to his contract, 27 points, 5 assists. For a while in the game, it seemed like him and KD were going back and forth. And that was really fun to watch. And then Dennis Schroeder picked up the slack for Westbrook. He had 21 points, 9 rebounds, 6 assists. Steven Adams with double-double. And on Golden State side of the ball, Steph Curry had 32 points. At one point in time, he was shooting 5 for 5 from 3. Kevin Durant didn't make a 3, so he got 27 points. Klay Thompson, though, shot 5 for 20. Not looking too much into that. Just one game, a little rest, maybe a little nervous going into the season. But let's start with the Warriors in this game. How do you feel about them?
Some of the Warriors, or how I feel about the Warriors? Well, with the Warriors, they had every reason to be amped coming into this game. Game 1 at home, ring ceremony, all that jazz. Yeah, you get to see a lot of these guys get their second and third rings. Durant get his second Finals MVP. Really, I'm not going to put too much stock into this game. Durant shot 9 for 21. Not the greatest percentage in the world. Curry, he played really well. But then you look at Klay Thompson didn't shoot very well. And then Draymond Green didn't provide you a whole lot. He rebounded the ball well. Didn't score much. Didn't get many assists going for him. But they still dropped 108 points. They still won pretty convincingly. I'm not going to worry about it. They're gonna be your 1 seed out of the West for sure. But you look at the way the Celtics played last night, and you look at the way the Warriors played last night. If those 2 teams are playing each other, I think it's pretty evident the Celtics would have won that opening night.
Yeah, last season, the Warriors showed us that they knew that they could kind of just slack off the regular season and make the 1 seed and turn on the playoffs. Do you think we'll see the same kind of thing this year?
It's tough to say. I don't know. I don't want to say that they slacked off last night. I just want to say that Klay Thompson and Durant didn't shoot particularly well. So that's what I'm going to chalk it up most to. I think if guys stay healthy, that they'll probably stay fairly motivated. Again, the West top to bottom this year is a little better, but it's not as top heavy like it was. Like Houston's not as good. I don't know how I don't know how Oklahoma City's going to shake out. The Lakers are going to be better, but where are they going to be? You got Houston. You got Utah in the mix. So I don't know how the whole taking off nights is going to go, but I'm not gonna say that they were taking nights off or that they were laxed or lacking focus last night. Though that's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah. And now we'll talk about the Thunder a little bit. Basically, played good. They caused a play, I guess, that was the Westbrook. A lot of people don't like Westbrook. They say he messes up, game flow there by penalties or whatever he wants to call it.
Right.
But they played good last night. How do you feel about them right now without Westbrook?
Well, I'll just keep it on Russell Westbrook here for a minute. I talk about Westbrook pretty often, and he doesn't play well with others. He's a little wiry. He's a little ball-centric. He doesn't shoot very well. He turns the ball over. But one thing that I kind of forgot when talking about Russell Westbrook is the constant pressure that he puts on the other team on offense and defense. I mean, he just absolutely goes at you on offense and then guarding whoever on defense. I mean, he's one of those rare guys in the NBA who can guard someone at his position or at the two guard and most of the time not even require a double team. So that's kind of one thing that you didn't see last night from Oklahoma City was that constant pressure on offense and him hounding Steph Curry. And I think you kind of saw that a little bit with Steph's numbers and then the Thunder's numbers in I guess as a team. They played well defensively. I mean, they bring in Jeremy Grant off the bench. They bring Nerlens Noel off the bench. So with real quick, with Noel and Steven Adams, you get 48 minutes of rim protection when you swap those two guys in and out. But in watching that game, pretty much what I thought I was going to see out of the Thunder. I mean, they can make stretches on offense to compete. They can't do it consistently for a whole game, but they're pretty good defensively. And watching Paul George and the shots that he was putting up last night, I was glad to see that the Pacers traded him and got what they did for him. I mean, he showed you last night he can't lead a team. He can't take a team as a leader and win and score efficiently. I mean, he shot 39% from the field, shot 4 of 12 from 3, which I guess is an okay percentage, but when you look at it, 8 possessions you wasted. So, yeah, it's about as good as you would expect from Oklahoma City, lacking Russell Westbrook in there. So,
before we move on, talk about Noel and Adam, how they'll give you, 48 rim protection. Do you think during time this season we'll see Noel in there with Steven Adams? Or do you think Patterson's going to be, the 4 guy and this is more of a game flow thing for him?
Yeah, I would definitely... I would lean towards seeing more Patrick Patterson out there. I think once you get Westbrook back, you're going to see lineups that go Ferguson, Schroeder, Adams, George, and Westbrook. And Westbrook and Schroeder would kind of split the 2 and the 3 there. I liked how much they used Alex Abrines. He didn't show it so much last night, but he's a pretty good shooter. He's a capable defender. So I think they're going to mix up lineups where they don't wind up using Patrick Patterson as much. I mean, Patrick Patterson only played 19 minutes. I don't think that was by accident. I think that was kind of by design. I mean, he played 19 minutes yesterday, and he didn't have like a foul or anything, so it's not like he was crippled by some reason or another. I think that's by design, and I think you're going to see more of that as the season goes.
And now we'll move on to a segment called Fletcher on the Fly. This is where I ask Fletcher 3 questions, and he has to answer them on the fly, know what they're about, and have to prepare for them. This week's be kind of different because last week we talked about what team, basically a season preview, but we didn't talk about a whole lot of teams. So I want to talk about some of the teams we didn't get a time to talk about. So I'm going to rattle off a few teams, Fletcher. I want you to tell me the percent chance they have of making it to the respective conference championship game.
Okay.
Milwaukee Bucks.
I give them about, let's see here. You got Boston, you got Philly, you got Indianapolis, you got the Raptors, and then I guess right after that, in some order, you would have the Bucks fairly close. So I give them 20% chance, 1 out of 5.
Washington Wizards.
Percent chance, man. Let me think here. I give them like a 10 to 15% chance. They're going to fall lower than the Bucks. So
Miami Heat.
5% or less. I don't know if they're going to make the playoffs. So
Indiana Pacers.
Man, I don't know. I give them maybe 25 to 35%. They're going to be a top 4 seed, I think. I think Indy could have played Boston closer last night than Philly could have. If Philly doesn't progress a whole lot, I think you're going to be able to see teams figure out how to guard them offensively.
And I would change conferences. Minnesota Timberwolves.
I'm going to give them a 0 to 5% too. I mean, they barely snuck into the playoffs last year, and they got a whole lot of problems going on. Lakers are better. Denver could be on their heels as far as a playoff spot. So I'm going 0 to 5%.
Utah Jazz.
Ah, man. It's tough because I like the way Utah's going. They added another guard that you don't really like too much, but he's going to be good as far as providing a spark off the bench. I'm going to give them about a 15 to 20. No, I can't go that high. I don't know. I'll give them a 15 to 20% chance.
Los Angeles Lakers.
I'm going to give them a slightly higher chance, not a whole lot. I'm going to go maybe 20, 25%. I think they'll be a top 4 seed. They could fall to 5. I think they match up better against Oklahoma City and Houston than what people give them credit for, but we'll see if it happens. There could be chemistry issues.
Portland Trailblazers.
They got their ass beat pretty early last year. I mean, they were the 3 seed last year, and they got bounced in 4 games real quick. I mean, no one saw that coming. As far as going to the conference finals, I'm not going to make this one based on seeding. I'm going to go 10 to 15% chance, just because I don't know what they're doing. You got CJ McCollum and you got Damian Lillard, 2 guys who play the exact same way. Trade one of them for a forward or a center or something that's worth a fuck. So I'm gonna. They don't play much defense. I'm going 10 to 15% with the Portland Trailblazers.
All right, and that was a few first on the fly. Very different than what it normally is. We're going to get that covered. She was telling me that the dark horse NBA championship matchup would be the Pacers and the Lakers.
That would be a dark horse. That would definitely be a dark horse matchup. One I'd love to see, though.
I'm sure you would, as a Pacers fan.
I bet a lot of people would like to see that just to see how they would match up, because the Pacers always play LeBron tough. I mean, you look at them when they were with the Heat, and then this most recent stint in Cleveland. I mean, we played them tough each time, no matter where it was in the playoffs.
Yeah. Yep, that's definitely true. Before we look at the games coming up, last night during the Thunder Golden State game, you might have heard this too. I can't remember who it was. Who was broadcasting that game?
I can't remember off the top of my head. I watched it on mute. I was reading something.
Okay, well, let's just say with Chris Webber, because that's what it sounded like. He
Okay.
said that, talking about Carmelo Anthony going to Houston, he said that Carmelo is still one of the best scorers in the NBA, and that he has to decide what kind of role he wants to play in Houston. I feel like those are both false. I feel like Carmelo is not the best scorer in the NBA. I feel like he has no determination on his role in Houston.
Yeah, so Carmelo Anthony, I mean, real quick, I'm going to talk about some of the stuff you mentioned there from previous season based on him being an offensive player. But real quick, he left the Thunder. Before he left the Thunder, before the whole trade buyout situation occurred with those 3 teams there, the Thunder were slated to win 48.5 games this year. He leaves, and they go up to 50.5 wins. So that shows you how much Vegas thought of Carmelo Anthony. They thought without him that he was 2 games better, or that the Thunder were 2 games better without Melo. And then on top of that, the Hawks, once they got Melo, they said, "Hey, you're so good, buddy. We're going to pay you not to be here." So, but as far as him being an elite offensive player, he shot pretty okay from the 3 last year. He shot 36%, but shot 40% from the field. If you extrapolate that over, big minutes a game, you're looking at some offensive inefficiencies. I mean, he played over 30 minutes a game last year, so you're definitely looking at offensive inefficiencies. And then on top of that, we already know he's a garbage-ass defender. And then one thing that people don't talk about a whole lot is we've already seen one thing people talk about, him coming to the Raptors, to the Rockets. They go, oh, in D'Antoni's system, shooting threes, he might be able to find his old self. I watched his old self play with D'Antoni in New York, and Melo pretty much got D'Antoni fired because D'Antoni played with this whole pace and space thing, and he wants guys to sit on the weak side of the floor, catch the rotation, and shoot the open jumper from the 3 when they have it. And the next thing you know, with Melo out there on offense, the ball's going to Melo. He's going backing into the free throw line, the elbow area, fadeaway jump shots, taking difficult long 2s, and D'Antoni's just like, what the fuck is this? This isn't my offense that I drew up. So I don't really agree with that at all. I don't like Melo going to the Rockets. I think it was a desperate move by a franchise that missed their window due to Chris Paul's injury for the most part.
I agree with you. That makes no sense to me either. But I'm excited to see how it works out.
I'm looking forward to watching it, that's for sure.
Yep. And now, look at some games this week. We have some pretty solid set of games. Tonight, we have Pelicans and the Rockets. They're playing right now, I think. Tomorrow night, we have the Lakers against Portland, LeBron's debut. And on Friday night, we have Celtics at Raptors, Pacers, and the Bucks. Warriors and the Jazz. Out of these games, which are you most excited to see, or is it one that I just didn't name?
Well, I'm pretty excited. I haven't watched much basketball tonight, but I'm pretty excited about the box score for the Pacers and the Grizzlies. I mean, we're beating their ass pretty soundly, but it's the Grizzlies, so we'll see what the. Last time I checked, we were up 21, so I'll see now. It's 82-58.
Oh, what a joke!
Yeah, so I like seeing that we brought in some new pieces and it's working. I mean, we're beating a bad team pretty handily, but that's what you should do. So that's a sign that good sign that you're doing what you should be doing. But the Pelicans and the Rockets, I'm pretty interested in that just to see how the new Pelicans are going to look without Boogie and Rondo and all those guys, and how everything fits together for the Rockets. Carmelo Anthony's coming off the bench. He's actually shooting pretty well tonight. He's shooting 60% from the field, but the Rockets are still down by 6 here in the second quarter, so we'll see what happens there. They only have 43 points, too. That's kind of wild. I would like to watch that game, but some of the games coming up, Celtics and Raptors, that's obviously going to be a good one. Pacers and Bucks, I'll probably watch that one if I can get my hands on it. Warriors at Jazz, I'm not too concerned with. I'm looking forward to seeing LeBron's first home game in LA. That's the game I'm looking forward to the most, though.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to that game the most, too. And it's not fair, because tomorrow night's really low with TV. We got a football game. I mean, it's a shit game, Cardinals and the Broncos, so care about that.
Right.
Red Sox playoff game, and then LeBron game. Huge LeBron fan. I gotta watch that game, so Red Sox need to close shit out early. But I'm looking forward to actually a lot of these games. I'm trying to see the box score to see how people are being used, see how the rookies are being used, especially.
Yep.
So, Fletcher, before I close the show out, anything else you want to tell the Dippers?
Nope.
Alright. And that was my own 21 Who's Hysteria. Thanks for listening. As always, follow us on Twitter and Instagram at The Saucy Pod. Listen to us on iTunes and Spotify. Sauce on the Side every Monday. Ducks in the Pond every Sunday. Knuckle Sanders every Thursday. Food for Thought most Saturdays. From Layton, from Fletcher. As always, stay saucy.